Let's get into it. Coach Colin here. I talked about it on my other channel, link in the description. There's another channel, Coach Colin Media, but the Hunter Biden interview was wild, okay? I didn't know if Joe was going to talk about it because he's been avoiding certain topics a little bit, just a little bit, but he actually did talk about it a bit. He really liked it. So did I. If you haven't heard about this interview, it's on Channel 5. It's a YouTube channel by Am Callahan, I believe his name is. And it's 3 hours and 16 minutes of Hunter Biden just ranting and raving like as if he never left the rock life. I mean, a rock star, this guy. You can tell this guy kind of talks like an old school rock star. That's what it sounds like. You know, one of those guys that's like been through, a whole lot of stuff, That's what he kind of talks like. I'm going to be showing you some highlights that I found through that interview, and Joe's going to be showing you one as well. So let's jump into it.
How long did you do it for?
For the whole session, which was like 6 or 8 months or something like that.
Oh my God. What are those people like?
Joe?
They party a lot, huh?
Like mother.
Isn't that crazy?
I've been hammered with Texas senators.
It's not just Texas. It's kind of all of them.
Yeah, but I don't mean drunk. I mean like hammered. These guys would have catfish fries and keg parties.
Somebody left cocaine in the White House, remember?
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
Somebody left fucking coke. Yeah. They brought to the White House. How did you do that? How'd you get in with coke?
Dude, I knew nothing.
Bro, have you seen Hunter
Please.
Hunter Biden describing why crack is so good? It's the greatest crack advertisement of all time.
No.
If crack wasn't terrible for you, this guy makes me want to try crack. I'm not going to. Don't do it. I'm not giving any advice, but I'm saying this guy, like legitimately, this might be the best advertisement for crack of all time. I'm going to send it to you, Jamie. You're going to watch it and you're
I'm excited.
Oh my God.
I'm excited for this.
I want to try crack.
He's the gift that keeps on giving.
Well, he's a lot smarter than people give him credit for. I'll tell you that. Like, he's talking, and one of the things he was talking about was why smoking things are so addictive, why smoking cigarettes are so addictive, and like the psychology behind it. He's not dumb, but he's just a guy who, became an addict, and that fucks your whole life up. You become a subhuman. Yeah. When you're junkied out all the time, and you're that dude who's like what he was doing, like making films and driving with a gun. He was gone. He was out there, dude.
Well, when you're an addict with money, it gets real wild.
And your dad is one of the most famous people on the planet. It's so crazy. Listen to this.
The only difference between crack cocaine and cocaine is sodium bicarbonate and water and heat. Literally, that's it.
And those things are pretty much free if you go to like a science store.
This is free. You can go to your neighborhood convenience store and just get. Anyway, I don't want to tell people how to make crack cocaine, but it literally is a mayonnaise jar of cocaine and baking soda.
How different is the experience?
Oh, it's vastly different. And like for real, I feel really reluctant to kind of have some euphoric discussion. I know you're not asking me to do that, but have some euphoric discussion about crack cocaine.
I think this might be kind of the opposite here.
Okay, no, it's the exact opposite. I'm saying I don't want to have the experience of some euphoric recall. That's how powerful crack cocaine is. Does crack cocaine make you act any differently? No. Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. People think of crack as being dirty. It's the exact opposite. When you make crack, what you're doing is you're...
Is it safer than alcohol? Probably. What? No. I can assure you. The things that you're willing to do for that substance, you would never be willing to do for a shot of whiskey. You know what I mean? You're not doing that type of stuff for a shot of whiskey. Guy's nuts.
We should give that guy credit. Who's the dude who's interviewing him?
Am Callahan, Channel 5.
Well, he nailed it. He did a great job. That's the best ad for coke ever.
It's the best.
Best ad for crack ever.
Yeah.
And he could be president. How about that? How about that?
That kid.
He could. Hunter Biden, after all he'd been through, look, we all his dirty laundry's all out there. We all see it. He was a freak.
Speaking of which,
he's just smarter than his dad when his dad was young, and he was a crackhead.
He spoke so eloquently about crack just then. I mean, that was. And by the way, you know what 2 words got me?
What?
Ignition was the first one.
Yeah, Jesus, bro.
And I forget the second word, but ignition. I was like, you got my ears here.
This is crazy. This is nuts. This is the power that Hunter Biden has? That people are normalizing crack? Man, I don't know if he could be president. I really don't know if he could be president. I would hope not, but if politics keeps going where Trump has taken it in regards to having the charisma, being able to not just debate, but actually get at people, he could. Like, imagine he goes on one of those rants about somebody, you know? Him versus, Michelle Obama. Or maybe they're on the same ticket. Oh, God. Could you imagine? That'd be crazy. You never know. You never know. I mean, they would position him that way. But I don't know, actually, because now, Jill's very mad at the Democrats. Biden seemed to be very mad at the Hunter. Hunter goes off in that interview about Democrats. He starts breaking down all sorts of things. So maybe he wouldn't actually run as a Democrat. Who knows? Who knows, man? Crazier things have happened. We're at that point where crazier things have happened. You know what's really funny about this interview with Andrew Callahan, right? Is that he got thrown out of I'm just jumping all over the place here. He got thrown out of Joe Rogan's green room. Joe Rogan threw that guy out of his green room. You know that? Because, and I made an episode about it, but basically the story goes, he was in there. He got brought up to the green room by a comedian friend that he has while he was in Austin. And Joe Rogan sees him, and Joe Rogan realizes that he's a journalist. He is. And then Andrew hears, this is Andrew telling the story. He hears Joe Rogan talking to security saying, "What the F is this journalist doing in the green room? What is he doing here? Get this guy out of here, man. Get him out of here." And before the security could even apprehend Andrew, he hit the elevator and left and never went back to the mothership ever. But Joe Rogan was very upset with him. So I guess he likes his interviews, but he doesn't like him as a person being around him. But, that's how it goes. Green room stuff, they're probably saying some of the wildest thing. A lot of noticing going on in the green rooms, without a doubt. Without a doubt. If you know, you know. Let's jump into this clip with Hunter Biden.
And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the fucking criminals. White men in America are 45 more times likely to commit a fucking violent crime than an immigrant. And the media says, well, you got David Axelrod and, Rahm Emanuel. So fucking smart Rahm Emanuel. He said, we got to understand that these people are really mad. And we got to appeal to these white voters. Rahm, the only people that can appeal to those white voters was Joe Biden, 81 years old, and he got 81 million votes, and he did not because he appeased their fucking Trumpian sense, but because he challenged it. And he said, you can be an 81-year-old Catholic from fucking Scranton that doesn't understand it, but still has empathy for transgender people and immigrants. Then nobody said, oh, Joe Biden's going to turn us into a socialist state, no matter how much they said it. But these guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, f*** you. How are we getting those people back from fucking El Salvador? Because I'll tell you what, if I became president in 2 years from now, or 4 years from now, or 3 years from now, I would pick up the phone and call the fucking president of El Salvador and say, you either fucking send them back or I'm going to fucking invade. It's a fucking crime what they're doing. He's a fucking dictator.
Calling people dictators after you said you'd invade a country. That's good, man. I like that. You're talking about being an American president, right? This is the glorious confidence that crack gives you. You're talking about running for president, winning. I mean, this is like, it's not out of order. I'm just saying, it's very confident. Winning, and then the first act would be you calling El Salvador and saying, if you don't give me back criminals and murderers who are from El Salvador, then I'm invading your country. Oh my gosh, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Can you imagine him as president? Here's another clip where he's talking about illegal immigrants and all the wonderful things they do.
For someone, am I going to be like all these Democrats say, you have to talk about and realize that people are really upset about illegal immigration. You. How do you think your hotel room gets cleaned? How do you think you got food on your table? Who do you think washes your dishes? Who do you think does your garden? Who do you think is here by the sheer just grit and will that they figured out a way to get here because they thought that they could give themselves and their family a better chance? And he's somehow convinced all of us that these people are the criminals for someone? Am I going to be?
He's wild, man. He's a wild man. I gotta say. Just swearing it up, man. Here's actually a clip from the interview where he's actually talking about the laptop, because he's kind of like, I can't believe you guys are talking about this laptop still. I mean, what's the big deal? I mean, the laptop's dead. It's been gone for a long time. You guys are still focused on this laptop. It's really a disgrace. That's what he sounds like as he's talking about this whole thing. Here, let's get into it.
Everybody has a digital life. Almost everybody has a digital life.
Okay. Well, let me slow it down a little bit. I don't know why I do that, guys. That's just a thing that I do.
Everybody has a digital life, pretty much. And that includes voicemails and pictures and text messages and emails and location data and, everything. Everybody, you do, everybody that is here right now. By whatever means, they got my digital footprint going back decades. Over 20 years. Again, I ask anybody, you're steeped in this, and this isn't a challenging question, but it kind of makes my point. What does my laptop prove about criminality or anything other than what I had already readily admitted to, completely transparent about, is my drug addiction?
Well, I'm trying to remember specifically what the most radical conspiracies that I heard. I think that a lot of people are concerned or curious about various international business dealings.
So
I really have to just stop right there. This guy, Andrew, it's funny because Lex Friedman tried to pin him down as like a left-leaning guy, and he wouldn't do it. He's like, no, you couldn't really pin my politics. And I just think that's so not true. When you're talking to Hunter Biden and he asks you, what did my laptop prove other than, everything that I admitted? And you're like, the wildest conspiracies. And you bring up what was actually a court case. It was legit a court case. And he's calling that a conspiracy. I have your politics pinned perfectly. I mean, I get it. You want to be charitable to your guest 100%, but to call those things theories that people himself actually went to court about. There's many interviews, emails. This whole case was really, really examined. And you're going to say these are the wildest of theories. Just wild. Absolutely wild. It was a legit case.
I served on the board of well over a dozen different entities, way more than that, including major global organizations. I was the vice chairman of the board of the National Passenger Rail Corporation, which is otherwise known as Amtrak. It's the largest passenger rail company in the world, which is more than just a rail company. It's also a real estate company. It's also a commercial real estate company. It's a residential real estate company. And it is probably the largest owners of property in urban metro centers of any organization in the country, and a huge employer and a multi-billion-dollar business. And I was the chairman of the corporate governance committee on that board, and vice chairman, and elected chairman, and then resigned before the Obama administration took. As I told you before, I was the chairman of the board of the UN World Food Program, responsible for sustaining a budget above $2 billion a year for the World Food Program and the contribution the United States makes to the global relief effort as it relates to hunger. I was chairman of the board of the Center for National Policy. I was on the board of Catholic Charities. I was on the board of Jesuit Volunteer Corps Northwest. I was on the board. I keep.
Only somebody who's partaking in crack could have that type of work ethic. That was a lot of things he just named off. I mean, that was wild. Only someone who's doing that would have that type of energy. You couldn't do that. You think you could have served on 3 of those boards? He just named like a dozen and said there was more. Absolutely amazing.
Going down the list of board memberships that I had. And a year and a half before my dad was to leave office, I was approached by a Ukrainian natural gas company through one of their board members to to consider being of assistance to a company that was being threatened by the Russian aggression and the invasion of Crimea and the incursions into Donetsk and the Donbass. And I took them on as a client because I was a partner of counsel, at Boyd Schiller Flexner, which was a major national global law firm, in which I focused on corporate governance and commercial law. And I represented them for about a 3-month period of time. And through that representation, they asked if I would join the board, which I did. The day that I joined the board, I announced it and sent out a press release of the reasons why that I was joining the board, which came and went and did not become an issue until Rudy Giuliani, along with a guy named Andrei Derkach and a number of others that have all been convicted of treason for being Russian agents, came up with a conspiracy that Joe Biden was involved in a bribery scheme.
The FBI.
See, that's amazing. You see that Andrew will call this a wild theory in regards to everything, in regards to Hunter Biden's dealings, but then he can just get off that these people were Russian agents, and he's just letting that sit in the air, that's a real thing that's happened, that they have been determined as Russian agents. That's okay. Cool. Fine. Tulsi is too. Tucker too. Yeah. Qatar. They call him Qatar Carlson. That's what they call him. How about that?
Arrested the person who offered those allegations for falsifying his testimony to the FBI.
For over a 10-year period of time, I worked with a group of people that had a cross-border private equity firm inside of China, and I had a business that was based around advisory for multinational global funds, private equity funds, doing infrastructure work and others. And I was asked to join a fund, the startup inside of China that was had a headquarters in Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, and New York. And I had a 10% equity stake in that, of which I paid, I made my equity contribution in that, just like every other member of that.
Federal officials are looking at his foreign business dealings, including his ties to a Chinese energy company.
And those are my two foreign business dealings.
Yeah, because I was kind of looking into it, and it seems like the conspiracy is that through those connections that you had to these, I guess, foreign governments, they were using you to leverage pressure onto your dad.
Again,
somehow.
like what?
Well, that's the thing, is that when you're looking
No,
for...
I'm not putting you on the spot. And I guess my whole point is that I asked these same questions to the House Oversight Committee. I've been investigated by the House Oversight Committee, the House Ways and Means Committee, the House Judiciary Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, the Senate Oversight Committee, and I have been investigated by Maine Justice, the U.S. Attorney in Pittsburgh, the U.S. Attorney in Philadelphia, the U.S. Attorney in District of Columbia, the U.S. Attorney in Los Angeles, the U.S. Attorney of Delaware, the Special Counsel's Office. Not one single person has ever accused me of a crime based upon anything that was in or discovered as it relates to my laptop. Not one. Not a single thing about my laptop. So this whole idea that there was some conspiracy to cover up the laptop, they uncovered 20 years unvarnished of every single communication that I've ever had over a phone or by text or over email or computer in any digital way. There's not one communication that you can even remotely say is evidence of a crime. Not one.
It's conspiracy to cover it up. Yeah, I remember. 51 intel agents who lied about your laptop. Said it was Russian disinformation, right? Are you talking? Does he forget? Andrew forgot too. Everybody forgot in that nice set that they have going on here. You know, sometimes you're in nature, you just forget things like this. You know, I'm in a basement. You know, I'm like a little troll here. I'm like, man, you don't remember the agents. So when you're out in nature, man, you just, the breeze makes you forgetful. It's fine, especially after you smoke so much crack. You know what it really is when it comes to Hunter is that he has been a rich kid who has his dad's influence, like he could use his dad's influence for so long. It didn't start when Biden was VP or when he was president. It didn't start then for him in that regard. It's been the whole time throughout Biden's whole political career, right? Through the sad passing of his brother, the car accident, like all the things that have happened. He's gone through a lot, quite honestly. But I think he has been like this for so long that it doesn't even occur to him that it's not even in his mind that there could be, like, what do you mean influence? Huh? What influence? Right? He's been in water so long. You can't explain to him that he's getting wet. You can't explain. I don't have any type of nepotism around me. I had Crystal Marshall from the WWE is like my cousin. Doesn't work for me that much. I can't reach out to Crystal Marshall and be like, hey, doesn't work. That's all I got. I don't have anything else. But he's had this nepotism for so long that it doesn't even occur to him. And a lot of rich kids are like that. When you're in a good position of your father, your mother, your father being able to take care of you, being able to shoo things under the rug for you, being able to have enough influence that you get hired to certain companies, and you just don't really, you're just like, it's me. I did this. I'm self-made. It's always the people who have the most help in life that will boast about being self-made the most. I've noticed that. As growing up without a father, I always noticed, I'm like, wow, there's not a lot of guys who are really proud of what their dad has laid out for them. And I came from like middle class, higher middle class type of neighborhood, and then where I lived was like the poorest place, of course. But I noticed a lot of guys wouldn't do that. They would actually do the opposite. They weren't proud of what their dad laid out for them. They wouldn't acknowledge that they were taking over their dad's business and be proud of that. It was always this pushing aside, like, this is me. I did this. And their fathers are proud that they could have a son that just gets to do that and just step into things like that. Yeah, I think Hunter Biden is very much like that. He just doesn't even realize. He's like, this talk about this cover up of my laptop. It's like, yeah, it's confirmed. There was. There's no accountability. So I guess you could still say it's a theory, and Andrew can call these things theory, but these are known things that happened around you while you were getting clean and dealing with the whole mess that your life was becoming, right? So very, very interesting stuff. Again, great interview at the end of the day. I think they might make Andrew the left's new Joe Rogan. I think that might happen. You know how the left is looking for a Joe Rogan, someone who like tells it like it is. And I think Andrew could be that. I don't know. This is the first time I've ever seen him doing such a long interview like this, pretty much Rogan style. So maybe he'll go on to do that. I don't know. Because, again, he says he's not a leftist, but it's very clear that he is. And you know why people do that? Just a little sidebar. You know why people do that? I've called this out with Jon Stewart as well. There's some people, and actually a guy that I interviewed, he was a journalist, and he's like, you can't pin my politics. And then he started calling me a conservative and saying that I was just looking for like sound bites, and I was all about the sound bites. And I was like, oh, okay, this is very weird that you're doing this to me as I host you and be nice to you. But but the way of Rogan, I try to, for the most part, I'm trying to be charitable and nice. But I noticed that guys do this that are on the left. They will get called as it is, being on the left, and they will say, no, you can't really, I don't know that I'm right or left. They want to be seen as in the middle. That way, when they have any political critique, it is seen as coming from a moral high ground rather than the side that they're on. If you really watch Jon Stewart's career closely, and I've said this before so many times, he will, I phrase it as, he will tickle the left and he will stab at the right. So he'll have like, he'll talk about the left, but it'll be like in a tickly, little fun way. And then when he goes at the right, he's going for critical blows when it comes to the right. And I think Andrew is somewhat like that as well. Not really going for like critical blows as much, but you can tell where his politics are. And I think just when people always want that blurred, it's because they want to seem like they're coming from a much higher place. I'm not coming from the left or the right. I'm coming from this other place where I'm just looking at all of you deplorables and giving my proper judgment, That's what I've seen. But anyway, Hunter Biden, guys, very interesting interview. Go and check it out. The interview's already at how many? 2.4 million views. It's going great. The channel is called Channel 5 with Andrew Callahan. He is a okay interviewer. I'll say that. Anyway, I'm out.